Value types versus reference types in arrays. In C Sharp, the distinction between value types and reference types for array element types has significant performance implications. When the element type is a value type, each element value is directly allocated as a part of the array's memory structure. Let's consider an example. We will create a very simple struct. We'll stick to the same example as we had before, so it will be public struct person, and that person will have two fields. One is age, and second one is public decimal height. So we created a structure. Now let's create an array of types person. So we will create an array person. We will call it person1. New person. We'll create 15 elements. We can refer to any of those 15 elements without any issues. Console write line person1 dot person1. Let's have, I don't know, third element. What is the age of person number 3? So any guesses? 0. Because as I explained in our previous lesson, when we create a values type array of value types having elements as a value type, it's zeroing out in memory. So basically it creates 15 zeros when we access the third element of that array and we access the age field, it will be 0 because it's a value type. It's always a 0. But now let's create a struct, not a struct, a class, and that will be a reference type. Public class person, and we will have, let's call it person class. It will be also integer of age, and public or prop. We can type prop in VS Code, and it will give us predefined result. So that will be height. All right, now let's instantiate. Let's create an array of person class. So person class, person one class, new person class, and we will allocate as well 15 objects, array with 15 objects. And now let's try to access person one class with the third element of the array person one class, and let's access age and see what we will get. So I can tell you beforehand, we will face a null reference exception. That's because we created an array and it's full of nulls. It's like a null. And when we try to access a field which is null, we will get a null reference exception. Let me demonstrate it to you. Okay, now we get unhandled exception, null reference exception, object reference is not set to an instance of an object. That's because person class is null. And when we try to access something that is null, we're getting a null reference exception. It's just empty and you cannot access it. That's the difference between having a structure, which is a value type, and a class as a value type, as a reference type. So in order to avoid this error, we need to initialize all of the elements in that array. So we can do for each element in person one class, each person. Okay, we want to take that person and instantiate the result of that person. For loop int I equals 0, I is less than person one class length, I plus plus, and here's access each of the elements. So we go person one class of I, so that's for each. And we want to instantiate each element. And now, if we try to access person1 class of third element, age, it will give us null. All right, so that's because the default value of integer is null. Same goes with height. It will give us as well a null. Yeah. But at least we instantiated each of the element in the array. It's not null anymore in all of them. They all have the fields age and height, and they are set to default values, which is 0.